Good morning. My name is Scott Forcino. I'm an associate broker with Exp Realty in New York City in the metro area. I started PlugIntro for the sole purpose of having people gain maximum local exposure and to meet who they should know. This morning, I have with me Ish Kolya, who is a big realtor locally in my county, and I want him to explain to our audience and to his contacts how he does his business, how he benefits clients, and more about himself to help others. So good morning, Ish.
Hey, good morning, Scott. Thank you so much for having me here.
Great. So tell us, why real estate and how long of the company you're with and a bit about your background, please.
Sure. Originally from India, I came to the U.S. as a 13-year-old in 1991. So I've been in the U.S. for about 31 years now, 44 years old. I grew up in the Bronx of New York. I went to high school here, went to college here. And then for the last 16 years, I've been an entrepreneur. Various businesses, retail operations, and so forth. Real estate, I've been in real estate for about 5 years. When I purchased my own house, I didn't really have a really good and smooth transaction. I didn't really have one good agent guiding me and leading me through the process. And I said I think I can bring something of value to future buyers and sellers. So I decided to get my own license. Being that I was already a salesperson, being that I was already an entrepreneur, it was a natural transition for me to get my own real estate license. So I've been a realtor for about 5 years, and I've been with the current company, Exp Realty, for about 4 years now.
It's impressive. Tell us a little bit about EXP. I'm an EXP.
When EXP came to my attention, I was fairly new to real estate business, and I didn't digest all the parts of EXP Realty, but I knew that it spoke to me. The various revenue streams spoke to me. The ability to take so many classes throughout the week and throughout the month really spoke to me. So I jumped in feet first into Exp Realty, and now it's been 4 years, and it's been one of the best decisions I've made in my life as well as in my real estate career. Allows me to build a residual income through my downline. I have agents in my downline in multiple states, and they have gone on to build their own downlines. I have an ownership stake in the company without doing anything different than what I would have done at any other brokerage. So I'm still selling houses. I'm still working with buyers and sellers. And just through those activities, I'm able to become an owner of the company. So that is absolutely important to me, to be able to have an exit plan, to be able to have a legacy. I don't want to work for a company for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years and not have anything to show for it. So those are some of the really important aspects of Exp Realty. Not to mention the fact that it's really super agent centric. It really puts the agent at the center of everything, and just the ability to network with a ton of agents across 50 states, across 20 countries now. So to be able to network with them, to pick their brain, to learn from them, those are some really, really important key aspects for me.
I think that's owned and cloud-based. It seems to be much more in step with what's going on. And I think it shows your clients that you're on the cutting edge and you're able to serve them best. So can you let us know what do you see in the shifting market and how you work with sellers and, even buyers, on each side of it, what happens in the new world with rates, et cetera?
Markets are always changing, right? So it's not like a market is sedimentary or stable at any given point. Markets are always changing, and those realtors who are busy will continue to stay busy, whether the market is in the buyer's favor or the seller's favor. So it's all about being out there. It's about, making sure that people know you are in the business, making sure that you're putting people and their best interests ahead of your own. giving honest advice, having integrity and ethical business practices, those agents are going to weather the storm, whether there's a recession or whether it's a buyer's market or seller's market. Certainly, you need to be able to be, up with the changing markets and know where the trends are, be able to communicate that to your seller, to your buyer. Yes, the interest rate is higher today than what it was maybe 2 months ago, but that certainly poses an opportunity for a buyer as well, right? Whereas the interest rate might have been a point lower 2 months ago, but buyers were plentiful in the market and they were going into bidding wars and over asking and offers. Whereas today, because there's maybe a lesser number of buyers, you're not going into bidding wars. You don't have to offer a lot more than what the asking price is. So there is an opportunity to actually save money up front on the price, even though you're paying a higher rate. And ultimately, it's
Good
going to
point.
take a number of years, 15, 20, 30 years to break even. That additional expense on a higher rate is going to break even after 20, 25 years. So a buyer who is buying a house with a higher rate today might actually be financially winning, if you will, right? But to be able to understand that scenario, to be able to explain that scenario to a buyer and show them that it's not actually a negative thing that the rate has gone up, but it's actually a positive thing. So to be able to understand, the changing market, and then to be able to explain that to your buyer or seller is key for any good real estate agent.
I think what's great for buyers now, I mean, speak to the inventory. There's so much more than there was just a short time ago.
Exactly. More inventory, less competition, less demand. That means, supply and demand equals price, right? So more supply, less demand. Well, that means a cooling down of the price, and therefore it's not necessarily a bad thing for the buyer.
Right. But you know what? I don't understand one thing. Maybe you can explain it to me. Where were these people? Where were these sellers before? How did how did inventory just pop up? They didn't want to sell before? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, last 2 years we have been going through a global pandemic, right? And it is understandable if sellers don't want to put their house in the market. They don't want to expose themselves and their family to a deadly virus. If they don't need to sell, then maybe they don't want to sell just right now. They can wait. I certainly feel that the pandemic had a large effect on the lower inventory. I also believe I don't know about many other states, but New York State has a state of emergency, which prevents realtors from making outbound calls. And of course, outbound cold calls are a big portion of what generates inventory, right? So that certainly had an hindrance on bringing inventory into the market. So, those couple of factors certainly are part of what I think was the reason why inventory was lower.
Yeah, well, it's a better time now because finally those buyers have a reasonable shot of getting their offer accepted. I mean, what was your experience with buyers routinely having their best offer denied?
Absolutely. My business is 70% buyers, 30% sellers. So I certainly deal with a lot of buyers. I make sure that I do a lot of due diligence up front. I make sure that all of our ducks are in a row before we even go see the first property. Because once we go see a property, chances are we're going to like the property. And if we're going to like the property, we're going to make an offer. So once we're ready to make an offer, I want to make sure that everything has been done so that when the offer can be made right away. And I also educate my buyers in making a reasonable offer, right? Making based on comps. So I educate my buyers on comps and show them what a good offer is. Having that pre-approval ready, having the proof of funds ready, being able to communicate that to the listing agent to say, hey, look, we have all of our ducks in a row. being able to show them that I'm a closer through my sales activity for the last 1 year. So I am somebody who gets his offers accepted more often than not always, but at the same time, educating your buyer and giving them faith, right? Letting them know that that we're doing everything possible to make sure that the offer is going to get accepted, and accepting the news positively and with professionalism when even when your offer is not accepted. It has happened to last year. Two of my buyers got their offer accepted, not in the first shot, but at the second shot. It's the first time their offer was not accepted. We accepted the news professionally and politely, and let them know to keep us as a backup offer. And ultimately, those backup offers came back, and we ended up buying the house. So, just kind of giving your buyer the faith and thinking positively and letting them know that the house that's meant for them is not going anywhere. Those are some of the important things that I implement in my business.
Well, you're mentioning something I got to tell you, I haven't really considered too much, because I think your approach, for me to be surprised, is a lot that not enough agents do what you're describing, where they would characterize them as a closer, meaning that they should select you because you have a greater likelihood of getting their offer accepted than others. I don't think agents even, sadly, prize that approach. They kind of don't even emphasize that you're safer with me because I get stuff closed. I get offers accepted. I think people are too subject to the winds and the stars, and it didn't work out.
So I implemented this in sometime in June, July of 2020. If you remember, March we all shut down, and then June, July we opened up, and there was an influx of buyers and there was influx of offers. And I started to think, how do I stand out? How do I get my buyers' offers accepted? So I started to implement two things. So if you ever get an email with an offer from me, you're going to see a bunch of attachments. You're first going to see a professionally and well put offer sheet that will be complete and will with all the information. But you're also going to see a pre-approval. You'd be shocked how many offers I get on my listings where the pre-approval is not attached. But I go beyond that. I will make sure that the proof of funds is also attached. I want to make sure that the listing agent knows that we are ready, willing, and able to buy this house. So you're going to have pre-approval there. You're going to have proof of funds there. But you're going to have a couple of more things from me in my email as attachments. The next thing you're going to have from me is an MLS printout of my last 1 year's transactions. So I'm going to send you my 1 year's worth of transactions I've done in the last year. And that's going to say, wow, this guy Ish does a bunch of closings, and a lot of them is buyers. So you can see that not only do I get my buyer's offers accepted, but I make sure that the appraisal and the title and all of that works out, and we get to the closing. We work through all the kinks in the road. And then there's one more thing I started to attach, and this was not planned, but it just kind of worked out, again, after the market opened up in 2020. In the past, let's say I did a closing with Scott, and after the closing, I would send Scott a text message, hey, Scott, it's been nice working with you, this and that. So Scott naturally would respond back, yeah, Ish, it was great working with you. I'm looking forward to working with you again. So when June, July of 2020 came and I needed to stand out, what I did was I screenshot a bunch of those text messages from a bunch of those real estate agents, and I put them up in a PDF, and I started to send that as an attachment too. And the title of that PDF is What Other Agents Say About Working with Me. And so if you ever get an offer from me, you're going to get this one more attachment, and that attachment will show 7-8 screenshots from other real estate agents saying, Ish, it was great working with you, man, and I'm looking forward to working with you again. So Scott, if you accept this offer from me, you and your seller are going to have a similar experience working with me. And when I do send this offer, oftentimes I get a response back and saying, Ish, your offer was the most complete offer that I have received. Not only did they get a pre-approval and proof of funds, which again, oftentimes I don't get on my listing offers, but I also give them my closing records for the last 1 year, but I also give them testimonials or just screenshots of conversations between me and the other agents. And in this business, every little thing counts, and my offers get accepted because of that extra, little thing.